So, another landmark for Seraph, and it's... Yeah, like, it's a landmark, it's a obelisk of power rising, drawing power out of these little faithful people who are feeding it with something. I do like the idea that this thing is, like, warping the landscape around it. Like, you can see how, like, throwing rocks around and, like, sort of exploding out of the ground. Quite cool. I like the use of pink and purple as contrast with, like, gray and brown and gray of everything else, but other than that, it's just a landmark. Wait, I skipped something? Mini-morph. Oh, yeah, the mini-T. Which seemed to be mistreated a little bit by the prehistoric Yordles. Like, this one right here seems to be trying to push that one into the water. Which seems like a little slightly mean thing of them to do. But the mini-T itself doing the surprised Pikachu face. As this guy's like, no, don't do that, it's a terrible idea. And this person seems to be, this Yordle seems to be completely determined to do it anyway. Jerk. But yeah, like, I don't think there's anything to talk about here that we haven't talked about already in terms of composition. Like, it's just a lovely little, like, I love the expression on the thing. Surprised kitty cat, surprised Pikachu. So, the Curious Shellfolk. Yet another one of those, like, where, again, they design interesting sea creatures. So, before we had the Shellfolk, we have the kelp spirits, the kelp sprites, right? And they were designed more around looking like seaweed, whereas these creatures are designed a little bit more like around, like, octopus sort of aesthetics or goldfish. Like, they have a slightly different look to them, which I think is interesting, that there's a little bit of variety between them. But mostly just, like, this guy just seems to be having an excellent time, like, discovering sea creatures, doesn't he? Like, he's just hanging out, everyone's curious about him. It's just lovely and adorable and cute. And, yeah, like, not a lot to say again. Like, we've sort of exhausted a lot of the topics that come into these cards at this point. So it's mostly about just commenting on the individual ones, and there's not that much interesting to say about this one at this point. Oh my, okay. Drunk people outside. So, the Ishtali Sentinel. This one's interesting, because there's a few things going on with this person. They seem to be losing, if you pay attention to them. They seem to be losing, and it doesn't seem to be a good time for them. The dark mist is, like, piercing their legs. It's, like, tearing through their arms. You can see, like, they're basically cracking up, almost as though they are sort of being shattered like porcelain by the black mist. So they don't seem to be having, like, they don't seem to be having a good time of it right at the moment. And you kind of get that sense from the composition as well, where you can see like she's still swinging her weapon around and doing stuff, but like the black mist is like, it's like taking up a lot of space on the screen. You can see it sort of converging and snaking and making its way towards her to pierce her and destroy her. So like, yeah, this seems like a last stand of some sort. This seems like a character who's about to snuff it, who's about to buy the farm. And that sucks a little bit, because that's a cool character design. It's nice to have another Ishtali character at all. We don't have a lot of Ishtali characters. But yeah, outside of that, I don't think I have a lot to say about it. Like, I think the pose could be a little stronger, like, especially since she's, like, swinging her weapon and attacking. This feels a little vague. I mean, that makes sense in terms of, like, if she's desperately fighting back with the last of her strength, but I kind of don't get that sense so much of it just yet. Still, cool golden eyes, glowing. So, here's the Yordle Safety Inspector. This is after, for some fucking reason, he's let Ziggs and his factory pass the safety inspection. Like, who knows why, he just did. Her flavor text seems to establish that the Ishtal was never in any danger from the mist. Yeah, probably. Like, because they have all that nature magic protecting them. What do you mean I missed one? I'm pretty sure I didn't. Like, there's double tap, but, like, that's just the monster getting shot with acorns. Not much to say about that one. Oh, Risen Altar still has a follower you skip. Yes, that's true, Damien. Say hello to Damien the Unbound. Yeah, hi, Damien. I can't help but feel that that name is a reference to something. Damien. Here's Billy, the chosen one. But yeah, just Damien doing ascended mega shit. But yeah, like, again, not that much to say about it. Like, the interesting thing about this guy is the floating ghost arms in the back that sort of look like Seraph's hands, as though Seraph is like this giant thing that's reaching down and sparking life into Damien the Unbound here. But I don't really know whether that's it or if this is like he's controlling those hands as part of his power kind of thing. But with all the cheering cultists down here, it kind of seems like, okay, this is Seraph reaching down and doing some godlike power shit to a thing. Maybe ascending someone into being a... But, yeah, like, that seems to be the thing that's going on. So, like, centered character, highlighted, glowing, has all the saturation, and, like, everything in the scene seems to revolve around him. All the other characters are looking up to him, cheering at him, looking to him. Presumably right before all these guys are going to be destroyed, which, you know, sucks for them. But yeah, just big safety inspector party. Wilfred was originally skeptical. He was skeptical throughout, too. In fact, he was skeptical to the very end. But Ziggs and the other explosives experts proved they knew how to put on a real humdinger of a fireworks show. And that's apparently enough to win him over. And I do really like Wilfred and his character design. Like, he's got the hard hat, he's got, like, the ear guards that he's not wearing, he's got, like, the safety goggles, he's got the high visibility vest. Like, he really does, like, I'm here from the Union to check the working conditions on this site. Like, he really does have that energy to him. Of, like, a very sort of sensible engineering-minded person who has to interact with all these crazy lunatics. Maybe they treat safety inspections like termite inspections. If it's not safe there, if it's not there, then you pass. Yeah. As he stands on top of the largest bomb that Ziggs has in his entire arsenal, and a fireworks show is going on. And this is just kind of a celebration picture with, like, all the characters we've been introduced to before. Well, minus the arsenal, we'll get to him later. Who work at Ziggs' laboratory. Just kind of having fun, partying, doing Yordle shit. And celebrating that they passed the inspection with a fireworks show going on in the background. So, here we have the Yordle Ranger. This is Kip. And this is Peppy. So, like, this is a squire from before. You can see the Cavalier, the pompous Cavalier here in the background with this big chicken. And the Yordle Ranger basically is the scout of the group. Like, if you think of them as an adventuring party, then Peppy is the little squire, like the sort of the enthusiastic helper. We've got the bards, we've got Poppy being like the knight and the main sort of frontline tank, and then we have literally the ranger flying around on their animal companion doing scout shit. And so this seems to be like, this is not in the middle of the scene that we've seen with the others. Like, this is not like, they're not fighting the big bird monster right now. This is just the ranger sort of communicating some sort of something, maybe saying, oh, the bird monster is over there, or whatever. I'm not really sure where the storytelling is at this, but in terms of framing, the wings are basically it. Like, the wings and then the collar of the creature gives us, like, the two faces that are important, which is the bird beast itself and the ranger on top of the image right here. So, like, that's only a very small proportion of the image that's really taken up by the character. Then secondarily, we have the actual hippogriff, or whatever it is that she's riding. And then we have Peppy here in the foreground being very, very out of focus to avoid her being the focus of the image. This is just, like, Senna's spell just looks so cool. Like, Just, like, look at the way it's composed with all the light. Like, this, it just looks so cool. Anyway, here's the Ferocious Feyfolk, who seems to be either related to or the same person as the Tasty Feyfolk from a previous expansion. Who seems to, like, who's basically swooping in, and I think this is after, let's see, the newbie. I think the implication is that this is, like, you can see he's swinging in here as the newbie and Ava are in trouble from the grass monster. And then here, I think we see the aftermath of that. Like, he's blown up the grass monster, rescued Ava and the newbie, and is now, like, dramatically jumping away from a big explosion. Which all works very well. And you can see how the explosion is like this flat color surface background that is used to highlight the central characters in the image, which are also the only characters we can really see. Oi, I'm yawning. I've been drinking chamomile tea to help my throat, like to avoid blowing up my voice. But the problem with chamomile tea is that besides being really good for, like, decreasing inflammation, it's also soporific, so you get a little tired. Anyway, Servitude of Desolation. This is basically everyone uses Sonya's Hourglass to become stasis statues. But I quite liked it, like, in terms of like, sort of just being a lineup. Like, it's a very nice illustration and, like, a collection of Seraph servants just all standing there, waiting to be unleashed on the world again. Then we have this, and this is just excellent. I really, really love this. I don't know if I think this guy's supposed to be like a sea Yordle in the same vein as Fizz. Like, I think they're sort of trying to bridge the gap a little bit between what Fizz is and what most Yordles are, and they're using, like, this guy here to do it. As he's just hanging out, is like treating this, like, little sharks as little puppies. They've got little collars made of seaweed, and he's like feeding it. And it's like, oh, it's just cute. It's just very adorable. I really love this, like, using the little puppy sharks. Absolutely adorable. Absolutely wonderful. I wish he didn't look quite so horrifying as he does, but still, very good, very cute, and very excellent. And we have the conch, researcher guy, the conch, sort of helping out with the research and, like, or helping out with the feeding of the creatures and holding his nose at the terrible smell. And you can see that this is like Bandle City, because, like, you can see the spiraling branches. You can see, like, the buildings built on branches in the background. You can see that this is like the seas around Bandle City, essentially. And here we have Short Tooth. Like, it seems to me like what the storytelling here is that the conchologist, yes, thank you, Shifu. The conchologist tried to feed the shark puppy, and then he got dragged into the water by an overly playful shark. And then that's sort of when he begins his undersea adventure. For some reason with this art, and I don't know why it is, I don't know how well you can see it on stream, but this art is really fucking grainy. Like, it's just really completely blown out in a really weird, compressed way, which is something that's been happening to the Legends of Runeterra art more and more recently. Like, there's this weird compression filter over it that mostly it just makes the edges all fuzzy and kind of ugly, but the grain here is, like, really out of fucking control. And I don't know why. Like, it seems intentional, but I don't know why you would do it, because it's just a really ugly form of image compression. So, more Bandle gunners. So basically more of Poppy's followers, and I really quite like the design on this lady right here, because, like, when you first look at her, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like, this is just a normal Yordle, but then you look at her again, and it's like, wait, her eyes are, like, really far apart, aren't they? Like, really far apart. And so she has this slightly uncanny, slightly unsettling feeling to her when you look at her for more than a second. Like, she looks just a little bit weird, and I kind of appreciate that. I like the big leaf hat. That's very cute. That's a sort of a very sort of 90s kind of giant hat. Yordles have 4 toes. Oh, people have been looking at the feet, have they? Yordles have 4 toes, yes, and 4 fingers on each hand. Usually. I think there's some artwork where the artist accidentally drew Yordles with like 5 fingers, but they're not supposed to have. But yeah, a couple of Yordle followers for Tristana. Many of the same things we've talked about already. They seem to have a big cannon, though. Like a really big cannon that they're very eager to use. Which I quite appreciate. Then there's Des and Ada. These two are so fucking cool. I don't, like... These two are so fucking cool. Could we have more with them, please? God, like, they're so fucking cool. Piltover and Zon, sentinels using guns. Like, using, like, basically same as Graves was using. Just using, like, a big mounted gun. Just pounding into the black mist with power. Just, oh, that's cool. Like, they're so cool. Look at those pants. She's got some great pants on. Again, you can see the highlights being used to center the characters. You can see the contrast in color temperature. Like, everything in the background is very cold. It's very bluish. It's very green. And then they are highlighted with, like, golden light and, like, lots of warmth and warm colors and so on. Like, it's just... I just like their character designs. Like, I just like their fucking fashion. They look really cool. And I'd love to have seen more of them before they just died and were never heard from ever again. And didn't show up in Sentinels of Light for more than 2 seconds. Oh well. I guess we just assigned these cool characters and they're not going to be used for anything. So, more of the Grey Legion. We have Lost Soul over here. And again, you can see a lot of the same stuff applies. He's separated from other characters. He's saturated and contrasted when everything behind him is washed out, etc., etc. Another appearance of the Twin Blade Revenant, which you can see is being taken, like here, they get taken down by that arrow, like fired into them, basically like knocking them out of the fight for a bit, and then they rise again after the attentions of Dr. Eslanger. And this, let's see, where the hell is he? He's a 2 cost. This is what's happening here. Like, this person got, this zombie got taken out by this arrow fired into their chest. This guy helped restrain them while Eslanger worked on them, and now they rise again to fight another day as Eslanger walks away, and as the soldier here in the background goes like, oh shit, that's not right. That's just very unnatural, and I don't like it. But it's basically a demonstration that even if you take them down one time, they can be raised again and again and again. Yeah, just shoot the doctor. Yeah, I mean, if they can, if they can get a clear shot at him, killing the doctor is probably the best bet that they have. Yeah. But yeah, other than that, not much to say about either of these that we haven't said already, I don't think. No, like again, the triangle shape, like it's subtle, but you can kind of see it. The triangle that rises out from the bottom of the image to create like a central shape for the main character to occupy. And then we have the Mirror Mage, who I believe, I'm not sure about this, but I think her voice actress is the same person that voices LeBlanc. I think so. And so a lot of people, because there's all this mirror stuff going on and mirror images and like that stuff, people have been theorizing that maybe this is LeBlanc in disguise who has infiltrated Vhagar's inner circle for whatever reason. I'm not sure I buy that, but it's a fun theory that everyone is LeBlanc all the time. But yeah, like this is a cool card. Like I like the whole Yzma vibe of her. Like she really does have that sort of classic villain, Disney villain Yzma vibe thing going on. Like, or maybe a little bit more like one of the one of the 70s Disney villains, a little bit more perhaps, like animated by Milt Kahl, that kind of thing. Yordle LeBlanc, yeah. Oh, this is the actual LeBlanc. Yeah, the one we see in Noxus, that's the fake one. This is the real one. That would be amazing. But it's yet another one of Vhagar's minions, and yet another one that's, like, appropriately, massively sort of campy, flamboyant, classic cartoon supervillain. And I really do like the use of the mirrors. Like, I like the different expressions that they've got on, like almost as though there's multiple different personalities in all of the mirrors. Like all these reflections of reflections of reflections are just different versions of the character, different faces that they can put on. Just excellent. Like, and again, big triangular sort of pyramid shape in the center of the image, rising up to sort of accommodate our central character, and then we use the mirrors to sort of show what the character actually looks like from the front. Moving on to the Arsenal, who is yet another one of Vhagar's minions. Wherever Ziggs went, Arnie followed. His serene demeanor a natural foil to Ziggs' chaotic zeal. His duty ranged from making sure the munitions was stocked, to putting out fires, to clapping his hands over Ziggs' ears when Ziggs inevitably forgot hearing protection. And so this guy is just like, he's just like the big sort of sensible, steady, calm dude who works at Ziggs' factory, who's just like, yeah, I'll take care of stuff for you. Ziggs. Yeah, Ziggs. Yeah, names, who cares? It doesn't matter. And I really do like sort of like this safety inspector's coming along and like, what you doing in here? And he's like, well, let me show you. Let's go look at some explosions. Like he's like just dragging the poor guy along. Like being extremely just unnaturally calm about everything that's happening in this house of madness. Which is like a good character. Like he's a good sort of foil or like or counterpart to Ziggs in that sense. Like he's the big sensible guy that makes sure that everybody doesn't get blown the fuck up. Which I quite like. Like I kind of like that. But yeah, again, like nothing much to say about the composition. They're centered. They are separated from the background by contrast and color, and like we have a little bit of a pyramid shape in the foreground. Not much of a pyramid shape here going on, really. But they're just, like, big and in the center of the image, and that's what makes them central characters. And then we have Treasured Trash, which sort of reflects the idea that Yordle portals exist everywhere in Runeterra, and oftentimes things just fall through them that the Yordles then just grab and repurpose and use for their own purposes. Which is a lovely little bit of lore storytelling kind of thing. Anyway, moving on. Actually, let's do Teemo and Fizz's new art. So Fizz has a much more elaborate new concept art than he used to. Like this is a much more elaborate, there's a much more detail, there's a lot more stuff going on. And interestingly, this one breaks a few of the rules and tendencies that we've seen previously in our discussions, because like if you look at Fizz, where a lot of other characters will often be completely separated from the background, like they'll have clear skies behind them, there won't be a lot of detail interfering with their silhouette. Fizz, on the other hand, is very much in the midst of a lot of stuff here. And there is a point to that. The point is that he is hiding. He's sneaking. He's not trying to stand out too much because he's trying to sneak up on the poor conchologist in order to play a big prank on him, along with Longtooth, which is no doubt going to be fucking harrowing. That is the conchologist, yes. Who's gonna have a prank played on him by Fizz. So the point of having Fizz, like, be a little bit less clearly separated from the background is to have him, like, sort of to give this sense of, like, he's in amidst everything. He's preparing to do a thing. Like, he's trying to hide, he's trying to be subtle, he's trying to be sneaky and stealthy. And it works okay because Fizz has this dark blue color scheme to him that stands out really nicely against all the bright greens and purples of the background that he's covered up against. And I like the detail that he's basically looking at you, like he's looking out towards you, the viewer, and going, shh, because he's kind of letting you in on the joke, like he's letting you in on the joke that he's about to play on this poor guy. As he does, by just bursting out of the water on the back of a giant shark to, well, throw the poor dude into the drink. Fizz, you little jackass. Attempted drowning counts as a prank, right? Yeah, it's fine. It's okay. Nothing could possibly go wrong. As Fizz then dives out. Here we have a much more traditional separation, right? Like here, we have the separation of Fizz like completely separated from the background, entirely framed against clear blue sky in order to really highlight him as a central character. We have a little bit of a framing going on, which you can see with the corals, with the falling conchologist, the surface of the water, leading up into here. So this is much more of a traditional splash art. Then we have Teemo giving big group pose with all of the Yordle scouts who have, I think at this point, successfully returned from their mission. I think this is supposed to be at the end of the Yordle scout mission. When they're all back at Bandle City and everyone's sort of in good shape and in a good mood. Basically, this is the triumphant return after a successful Yordle scout expedition. And the reason why I think so is because you can see the travelers here, the two sort of jerky kids who didn't want to be there, at this point seem to be having a great time with it. They seem to be holding a map and sort of jumping up into the air. Yes, we did, as though they've had a really good time doing all of this. And then, of course, Teemo has to go and, well, again, I'm not really sure about the timeline, because I think maybe this is Teemo saving everyone from something or other, and everyone running away from a giant explosion, and then this is the aftermath. I'm not 100% sure exactly on the timeline. Exactly how it goes, or whether Teemo just set off a bunch of explosions now because he's a dick, and he wants to teach them a lesson about getting away from giant poison explosions. Not sure either way. But whatever the case, here's a really clear example of highlighting, because, they're all sort of ostensibly standing in the same light, right? But you can see the Swole Yordle is, barely outlined a little bit with some light. Ava has just a little bit of edge lighting. The Yordle newbie has just a little bit of edge lighting on it, but Teemo himself has much more substantial surfaces of light highlighting him as a character. He's also generally brighter than everyone else, and he's raised above the rest of the crowd, of course, by standing on a platform. And here, even more obviously, he's just the only one who's flying through the air. He's got highlights coming from the explosions behind him, and he's separated in that way from the rest of the scene. Moving on to the character who has the most fucking associated cards. Jesus Christ, Akshan. Fucking hell. Being Akshan himself, who is on a raid to do a thing, to steal a thing from a warlord and also kill him, out of revenge for what happened to Shaja. And he's just as Sol Navarro in chat points out, going full Prince of Persia here, running along a wall, doing acrobatic shit. As this poor fool in here, this warlord who's framed against this little sliver of a window, is completely oblivious to the fact that the black mist is probably about to consume the shit out of him, which Akshan very sort of, in a very friendly manner, is going to prevent by killing him first. But yeah, again, as we talked about, when one character is hidden from another, it's a very sensible way to show that visually is to have a literal barrier between them in the image. So between Akshan and the Warlord, we have this. We have a literal stone pillar separating their spaces from one another, and that stone pillar also creates a little bit of a frame. You can see how the fortress itself creates a little bit of a frame for Akshan to occupy on the left side to be contrasted against. And that all works quite well. This is a quite well put together art. I think it's I like the action, I like the motion and movement of Akshan as he's racing to compete with the black mist for who gets to kill this guy first. And so again here, you can see this guy has the frame around him. You can see he's framed by his opulence, by his wealth, by all the stuff that he's sitting in the middle of. And Akshan, rather than being framed, Akshan is breaking through frames. So you have a frame here, you have a frame there, you have a frame there's all these little windows sort of windows within windows in the image, and Akshan is just breaking through all of them, reaching into this guy's space, and is about to either grapple hook him in the face or fire the Absolver. One or the other. And so, like, again, the storytelling here is pretty good. Like, Akshan is breaking into this guy's home. He's breaking into his space. So, Warlord's Palace. That's basically the preamble. Like, that's basically what was Akshan doing right before he did this. Well, this is him planning the heist, essentially. Sitting out there on the right side, separated from the thing casing the joint, and then we have the palace itself rising up in the center with the only thing that's really has saturated lighting on it, which helps center it as the central location of the image. Let's see. The Warlord's Horde. Here we have one of the characters we'll encounter later, who uses these, I don't know what they are, but holy shit, they're terrifying little acid spider creatures to do stuff and break in. Just breaking in to grab the Warlord's Horde. And here you can see, like, we've talked about these pyramid shapes, right? Like, we've talked about how using a pyramid shape sort of centrally in the image can help highlight something to be the main feature of the image. Here, it's a little obvious. Like, here it's very clear exactly what's going on because we have a pyramid right behind the thing as it's being worked on by these little spider creatures. Let's see. These, are they interesting? No, not that much. Then we have Viego himself. I need to blow my nose because I got snotty again. Yeah, sorry about that. And yeah, like it's Viego. He's not doing much of anything. Well, actually, didn't I review Viego's cards already? Not sure. Did I? Now I'm in doubt. No, I don't think I did. No, I didn't. I've just talked about them before. So, yeah, Viego, interestingly here, the sword is actually a big part of the composition that makes Viego the central character of the image. Can your avatar blow their nose as well? No. This avatar can only really do this. Like, that's it. Tilt head left and right, that's about all the avatar can do. And blink. And move the eyebrows around every once in a while. Yeah, I know, the flavor text references Necrit. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, the sword is actually doing a lot of the work here of making Viego the central character of the image, because it's like this thing that just bisects the whole picture and draws everything sort of towards him. The black mist also helps, of course, because all the tendrils are coming out from his chest, him being the source of the damn thing. And yeah, outside of that, there's not that much compositionally to talk about. Again, clear sky behind his torso. Like you can see here, like a building, then nothing, and then mountains and stuff. Sort of, again, trying to sort of clear the character from being interfered with by too many details in the background. But that's about it. But yeah, there's something that deeply unsettles me about the young king, some of his heart, a hunger that cannot be satisfied, a desire that goes unfulfilled. From the record of Nuno Necrit of Kamavoran. I don't think they can put me in there. Like, I don't think TP Skyn works as a League of Legends name. Ever. But I was really happy with this. Like, I'm really happy to see Necrit getting a little bit of recognition in the game. Because, like, the dude has done a lot of work about League of Legends lore over a long-ass time. So I think it's cool that he gets to have a little reference to him in there. So, here, some of the stuff we already talked about is in play here. Viego is separated from the background by being more contrasted, by being more by having more saturation, and just by being the center of the image, essentially. And then we have all the tendrils of the black mist, of course, all pointing us towards him, doing this menacing walk at the head of his miserable army with the ruined Shyvana, a Kamavoran dragon, and some other stuff in the background. Here we have the encroaching mist, which again is the black mist doing harrowing shit. And here we have the Jawl Hunters, which is a card that was introduced in the game way, way, way long ago. Being menaced, like they've been menaced by a bunch of things around the Shadow Isles before. And now they're getting the entire force of the black mist rising like a tidal wave, bearing down on them. As the harrowing begins to spread across the entire world, which is bad. Speaking of which, this is, oh, like, this is, like, moments before disaster shit. Like, this is kind of depressing. Cause I think those kids are gonna die, just based on the way that the scene is put together. It kind of looks like the harrowed, the ruined dragon thing is coming around the corner. And, like, this little thing sees it, and the mother hasn't realized yet. And we're about to get, yeah, as people are saying in chat, we're about to get full Bambi on this one with like, the mother taking on the dragon, and the little critters trying to run away, and, yeah, this is just gonna be tragic and sad, guys. This is just gonna suck. Have I talked about... Yeah, I've talked about Aphelios and his cards. I have. So, Crawling Viper Worm. So there's something interesting about this creature, which is that it seems to be made of swords. Like, as far as I can tell, like, when you look at the texture on its scales and stuff, its entire body seems to be just covered in swords, and it seems to be made of them, and I'm not 100% sure how that's supposed to work, in terms of what this creature is. It's a crawling viper worm, whose entire skin is swords, for some reason, that I don't fully understand. It's a very cool creature. Like, I like the sort of snake fangs that it's got going on as it's crawling over the wall. I like the Attack on Titan vibe, coming from this thing, like, going over the battlements. But in terms of, like, being a creature for Viego, like a sort of like a dead creature that he has revived, I don't know. Like, visually it's a cool idea to have its skin just be made of swords entirely, but why they did that, like, it feels like not really, it doesn't really feel Shadow Isles or Viego that much to me. So here's a female character who isn't fucking ultra skinny, which is a nice change of pace, for once. A Kamavoran soldier, who actually has some goddamn stomach muscle, which is a nice thing to see. No face, but hey, you know, we take what you can get. And here, interestingly, like, we have this cloak that billows from her, which seems to be made of black mist, and that sort of seemed to billow out all over everything and creates this portal through which the other Kamavoran soldiers are marching through. And that sort of mixes in with the waves of the seas. Like, there's this wonderful, like, use of the black mist as this roiling ocean-like smoke, like both a fog and an ocean, like, taking over everything, becoming the entire environment, which I quite like. And again, a compositional element. She's separated from everything else that's happening in the scene. She's separated from the background, because the background is just this flat gradient of color, sort of against which she can be contrasted quite easily. And it all works pretty well, I think. So, the mist warped Gregham's mind, forcing him to relive Renwall over and over. Stoked by long-buried bitterness and rage, he turned against the comrades who once stood with him. And this is sort of the thing about Viego, and his power, is that Viego has the ability to take over the minds of people who are vulnerable to having their fears and traumas repeated to them, like to be trapped in, like, these cycles of negative emotion over and over again, getting obsessed, getting obsessive. That's how he's able to control Shyvana, for example. And so here he does it to this dragon guard, and framing is very strong here. Like, you can see the wings of the dragon that he's riding right there create a frame for the dragon guard that also separates him visually from his former compatriots. We can see the scout, shit, what's he called? One of Shyvana's followers, the soldier dude who's like a 3-cost, who's like a 3/2 that can have Challenger if you behold a dragon, or 2-cost or something like that. It's that guy, he's right there. But yeah, the framing is very strong. It also separates him from his companions, like visually doing the storytelling, that he is now separated from them, that he's now apart from them in his thinking and in his mind. Yeah, the lieutenant or the lookout, one of them, yeah. So like the framing here is doing a bit of storytelling for the action that's actually happening, which I think is quite good. And then we have the Vicara Vagabond, who is stealing a little bit of style from Samira, I feel, with that eye patch, but who's, like, this person is, like, seems to have a big crush on Akshan, like really just wants to prove herself to him, wants to prove that she is, like that she's better than him, and, like, that he should really acknowledge her, and maybe they should hang out, maybe they should kiss or something, I don't know, that kind of thing. And you can see Akshan climbing into the Warlord's palace up on the wall right there, and she's basically following behind. As she's, again, like Akshan, she's transgressing a boundary. Like, the wall here represents a boundary between the Warlord's palace and the outside world, and she's transgressing it like a thief sneaking in. So here again, we have that aesthetic of skin made of swords. And you can see it here on the Kamavoran dragon. Like, it's just that there's so many swords stuck into it, basically, that its entire skin has become nothing but swords. Which, again, is like... It just doesn't feel like a Viego thing. Does it? Like, Viego doesn't have that thing of, like... Like Game of Thrones thing. Like, in Game of Thrones, for example, like, the throne is made of swords as a sort of symbol that, like, oh, hey, yeah, like, this is a throne over which blood will be spilled. Like, this throne is defined by warfare to some extent or another. Like, there's a visual metaphor in there. But then, like, that's not really a thing with Viego. Like, his whole thing is a broken heart. And Kamavoran's whole thing, like, they are a conquering empire, but, like, that's not really their thing? Like, it's like more, I guess someone is pointing out in chat, that's more of a Mordekaiser thing. Like, it's definitely more of a conquering, like, Warlord Mordekaiser aesthetic thing than Viego, who is, like, very much not about those things in the same, I don't know. It's an awkward thing that I just don't think it works completely. Again, individually, this makes a very, very cool monster. It makes a very, very cool creature design. It just, I don't think it fits with, like, Viego's Ruination thing, as such. But anyway, very cool creature design as a whole. I like that it has tentacles rather than feet. Like, it's more of a worm dragon kind of creature design, like a snakish thing with a bit of octopus mixed in there, which is also very cool. Like that, it's just very, very cool. I love the rendering on the smoke, like how liquid and inky it feels. It's gorgeous. And then, like, of course, highlighting the central character just by making them glowing, which is a simple way to do that. Then we have the Defective swap bot, and I quite like this guy as well. Like, it's basically a robot that's been ruined, like, that's been infected with the ruination somehow. And it just seems to be, like, still hanging out in Piltover and so on. Like, a new slot bot. Didn't they shut down the plant that made those years ago? I thought so. Something about rolling bombs and unintended conflagration. Huh. Want to play? Absolutely, yes. So, like, this is this casino robot that's been infected by the ruination that's just still hanging out doing casino robot shit. Presumably this will turn out really poorly for everybody involved. But okay, I guess robots can be ruined. But yeah, I don't want to repeat myself any more than necessary, so I'll just skip over re-explaining all the same compositional elements that we've talked about already. So here, hella framing. You can see it like she's framed against the Reckoner there. You can see that Riven is fighting Draven there in the background. And you can see, like, this creates this little framing for the Ruined Reckoner right there. And I appreciate this character because she's a female Minotaur who looks like a female Minotaur, which is nice. Like, I've made a video before kind of being annoyed that the only female Minotaur we knew of in the game was essentially just, like, again, like a skinny human lady who... Let me show you, actually. That was in Empires. Thorn of the Rose, right? This was a Minotaur lady, right? But she's just a skinny human lady. Like, this... Design-wise, there's nothing except her face separating her from just being a skinny human lady, which, like, I felt like was a bit of a waste. of the Minotaurs, and I thought it was annoying, the implication that the Minotaurs have this really strong sexual dimorphism for some goddamn reason that I just don't think makes sense. So seeing the Ruined Reckoner is quite nice because, okay, here's a Minotaur that actually looks something like a fucking Minotaur. And like that implies, okay, their sexual dimorphism may be in this species, but it's like the Thorn of the Rose is not like a holotype. It's not an archetype of what every female Minotaur looks like. It's just one among a variety of female Minotaurs, which is cool. I like that. That's good. Let's see some more female Minotaurs. Let's see some more different ones. Let's see some more different male Minotaurs as well. Let's see like a little skinny, slight, tiny male Minotaur also, because all the male Minotaurs right now are just these big fucking beefcakes all the time. So, okay, we have a dimorphism. We have like many different kinds of Minotaurs. Cool. Let's go with that. Let's roll with it. Let's make many different kinds. And this is just a cool pose. Like, I really like this pose. This is really fucking cool. It's dynamic. It's action-filled. It has, like, lots of good movement. I really like it. Let's just do this. So, here's the Safecracker, the Vicaran Safecracker. We've encountered this character before. They were breaking into the Horde using their horrible little acid spider creatures. How does she train them? Like, I don't even know. She's called Tina, and she's like, again, here the thing we talked about before. Like, when you want a character to hide from someone or from something, well, just put a physical, like a visible boundary between them and the thing that they're hiding from. So she's over here in the, like, the cold moonlight. Outside of it, you can see a little bit of the warm light from inside shining on her face. And then there's this boundary separating her from the thing that she's trying to break into, which is like the inside of here. And here we have a continuation. Like, this is, again, the Ruined Reckoner, who's been taken over by Viego's, like, negative emotion powers, fighting against her, well, her own husband, it seems like, or lover, who's trying to calm her the fuck down and not having a lot of success with it. The retired Reckoner beckon. So here, framing, like, basically, the Ruined Reckoner does a lot of the work of framing him, but there's a compositional thing here, where he's under pressure, right? Like, he's trying to fight her off, while she's very aggressively attacking him. And he's basically trying to push back against her, but she is, like, pushing him backwards. Like, he's defensive, he's on the defense, he's being attacked, and she's pushing forward. And you can see that in the way that she dominates so much of the page. Like, all of this, basically, is her space. The space that they're clashing over is just this little sliver in the middle, and then he's being pushed back into this, like, cramped, compromised position as he's being driven back by her. And then we have, like, this was just so fucking heartbreaking somehow. Petty Officer going like, Rex? As Rex somehow gets ruined and turns on the poor Petty Officer who's, like, just seeing his pet and his best friend, like, get ruined. He's like, Rex? What's wrong, buddy? It's like, it's just kind of heartbreaking and sad. It's like, Rex is such a good boy. Like, he's a cannon barrage monster that has killed me a few times, but, like, they were so good friends, and it's like, they had to fight. Like, no, that shouldn't happen. Poor Rex. Like, oh, it's just depressing. It's just depressing. I don't like it. So, the Vicaran Bruiser, which is another one of the characters associated with Akshan, who has a somewhat more hands-on approach to breaking into a place. As you can see, like, just scores of people behind him just completely knocked out. As he's got this adorable little lizard creature running around, grabbing gold and riches for him. And he's, like, just a big, adorable himbo man. Look at him. What a beef boy. What a lovely dude. And he has an adorable little lizard that he loves and calls Barb, which I think is wonderful. But yeah, nothing compositionally we haven't seen before. Nothing in terms of framing and aesthetic that we haven't seen before. Just a pretty good character. And I like the pose that he's got, like that sort of warm, welcoming hug thing. Like, there's no sense that he's just been in combat, right? Like, there's no sense that he's just been punching these guys to pieces. He's just like, hey, there's my girl. So, here we have Catrogrin, and that's a dragon that Shyvana has fought before. At Renwall, if, like, no less, if you can believe it, who has apparently been ruined and brought back as a ruined dragon, along with some other, like, characters. We have here the ruined Dragon Guard, and here we have the Dragon Guard Lieutenant dude down at the bottom, looking up at him. And again, we see the same little trick repeated, where the wings, in part, are used to separate the rider from the people, but in this case, the rider isn't really the main character, so it's not that much of a storytelling thing. This is more about, like, we are, in terms of the framing and the aesthetic of the shot, we are put in the position and the perspective of the Dragon Guard. Like, you can see that we are among them, and we're looking up at this thing coming down from the heavens. And so, like, we're sharing their perspective and their fear and their trepidation at what's coming at them right now and how bad this shit is gonna be. Which, again, is like a good way to frame a monster. It's a good way to frame a terrifying villain creature. So, Rhymefang Denmother. Well, you can see we have a Druvask here, and a Druvask is the same kind of creature that Sejuani. It's the same kind of creature that Sejuani rides, which here clearly has been ruined by something or someone. And you can see, like, there's this standoff going on between the wolves and the Druvask itself, where they're sort of trying to surround it. They're sort of trying to, like, see if they can overwhelm it with numbers, or, like, get the drop on it or ambush it. But it's also, like, just, you can tell that it's, like, this thing is big and they're not eager to attack, just by the way that they're posing and posturing at it. It's more of like a calm before the storm moment, as the Rhymefang Denmother evaluates whether this thing is worth it. So the Rhymefang Denmother, all white, like, very bright fur, mostly white. So look at the background that they give her. Like, we have a white landscape, obviously, but here, oh, just coincidentally, there just so happens to be a cliff full of dark black rock that rises in just such a way that, like, she's not doesn't have to be framed against a snow white background. She can be framed against a dark black background, which highlights the color of her fur even more, which is a good way to highlight the character as one of the central characters in the image. And then there's the fact that the Druvask is staring at her and she's staring at it. Like, there's eye contact between the two, which again helps sort of cement this one as the central character that's challenging the Druvask. So, here's a scattered pod. We have these cloud drinkers, which are like creatures I've examined long ago before when the game first came out, being overtaken by the black mist as well. Like, they're defending themselves as best they can, but, like, it's not gonna work forever, as they're just trying to fly away as fast as they can. And here's a little trick that's being demonstrated that's very common for these cards when they want to demonstrate sheer size and scale. Let me see if I can't find a good example. I know I can, because it's right here. If you want something to look big, to look overwhelming, to look absolutely enormous, you have to put something else in the image against which it can be compared. You have to do banana for scale, right? So what are they doing here? Well, we've got two human characters right here, tiny, looking up at Malphite towering above them up in the clouds. But more than that, we've got birds. We've got birds, these little tiny bird shapes flying around his head, all of it in service of showing us the sheer scale of this mountain man. And it's the same trick that's being used here in order to get a sense, like, because here we don't really have any humans, we don't have any landscape, we have, like, these mountaintops way in the distance, to get a sense of the scale of just how big these cloud drinkers are. So what do we have instead? Birds. Birds for scale, helping to sort of increase the perceived size of these creatures relative to their environment. Which, like, it works reasonably well. Like, it works okay. I feel like really there should have been some mountaintops in the foreground, like something else to give more of a sense of scale of just how big these things are. But the birds are an attempt to do that, to give a sense of just that these are like sky whales, that these things are absolutely huge. Invasive Hydrovine? Yeah, I don't think there's much I can say about that we haven't gone over like a dozen times already. It's just a big, cool Hydra monster. That's about it, I think. And the Thrumming Swarm, yeah, I mean, not that much to say about it either. Except, like one thing I'll criticize this for is that it doesn't really look like a swarm creature. Like, it just doesn't. This looks like, and especially when you frame it like so, it just looks like one beetle. Like, it just looks like one. The idea of the art is that you can see all these eyes sort of emerging out of the black mist in the background. We have these other beetles here. Like, that's sort of supposed to suggest the swarm, but this doesn't look like a swarm creature. Like, especially with the humans there for scale, this just looks like a big fuck-off beetle. Like, this is not a swarm threat, this is just one big fuck-off beetle, which is more than enough to be a threat. So, like, this feels less like a swarm monster and more like just a monster. Straight up. Which, like, mileage may vary on how well that works. And I think that's all of them. Yeah. I think it is. Have I forgotten any, chat? You can let me know. Because I don't think I have. I think we covered everything. Will I review the skins as well? No, not right now. I've been talking nonstop for 5.5 hours-ish. So, I think I need a break. If we're done. Yeah, I think we got all of them. I think so. Yep. Yep, we got him. Who's my favorite new champion? I'm not sure. Like, I like quite all... I mean, in terms of what I'm gonna play, definitely Veigar. In terms of their character design, I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, I'm bad at picking favorites. Always have been. But yeah, that was almost every single new card revealed so far for the Beyond the Bandlewood expansion. Whew. That was a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time listening to me blabber on. And yeah, this will be up as VODs on my second channel tomorrow-ish. I'll cut it into 1-hour episodes, something like that. Make it a little bit more easy to watch in installments and chunks. And we'll be back with another one of these when another expansion drops, I think. Have a good one, everyone.